The holo display in the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Union flickered to life, projecting a three-dimensional image of the small blue-green planet known to its inhabitants as Earth. Resting on the outer fringes of the galactic community, the remote world had long been considered a backwater, its primitive sentient species barely worth the notice of the more advanced civilizations that had colonized the Milky Way. But as the holographic representation zoomed in, highlighting key regions of activity, the mood in the chamber shifted palpably. The elders of the Galactic Union leaned forward, their eyes narrowed with a mixture of fascination and unease. "This cannot be," murmured Psyloth, the venerable ambassador from the Andromeda Collective. "The reports from our scout ships cannot be accurate. The level of technological progress on that insignificant planet is unprecedented." Therian, the presiding counselor, raised a gnarled hand, silencing the murmurs that had begun to ripple through the assembly. "We must not jump to conclusions. While the developments on Earth are certainly alarming, we cannot dismiss them as mere fantastical claims. Let us review the evidence carefully before deciding on a course of action." With a gesture, Therian commanded the holographic display to cycle through a series of visual feeds captured by the scout ships. Images flashed by, towering cities powered by renewable energy sources, sleek aircraft soaring through the skies, robotic factories churning out an endless array of advanced components. But it was the final sequence that truly set the council on edge. The hologram zoomed in on a gleaming, needle-shaped craft rising from the surface of Earth, its engines propelling it swiftly into the void of space. "Spaceflight," Xyloth hissed, his tentacles twitching with uncharacteristic agitation. "They have mastered the art of interstellar travel. This changes everything." Therian raised a hand, silencing the chorus of alarmed voices that erupted around him. "Calm yourselves, my peers. While this development is indeed concerning, we must not act rashly. We have weathered threats from upstart civilizations before, and we shall do so again if necessary." The counselor's gaze swept across the assembled elders, his expression grave. "However, the pace of humanity's technological advancement is clearly accelerating at an exponential rate. If left unchecked, their innovations could pose a direct challenge to the stability of the Galactic Union. We cannot allow that to happen." A tall, slender figure rose from the back of the chamber, its features obscured by the shadows. "Then what do you propose, Therian? Shall we make contact with these humans and attempt to guide their development, or do we take more decisive action to ensure the security of our domains?" Therian's eyes narrowed as he considered the question. "Both options have merit, Zora. But we must tread carefully. Any misstep could provoke a reaction that would unravel the delicate balance we have maintained for millennia. No, we must proceed with caution and gather more intelligence before committing to a course of action." The counselor turned to the holo display, his expression pensive. "Send out our most skilled operatives to infiltrate human society. Let them observe, gather data, and report back their findings. Only then will we be able to determine the appropriate response." Zora inclined her head in acknowledgement, her cybernetic implants glinting in the dim light. "It shall be done, Therian. I will personally oversee the deployment of our agents. We cannot afford to ignore this threat, no matter how insignificant it may appear." As the council chamber erupted in hushed, anxious discussion, Therian gazed out at the holographic representation of the distant, blue-green world. "Humanity," he murmured, "you have piqued the interest of the Galactic Union. For better or for worse, your destiny is about to be irrevocably altered." The council chamber was in a state of disarray, the elders of the Galactic Union engaged in a heated debate that echoed through the cavernous hall. Therian, the presiding counselor, struggled to maintain order as the discussion veered from impassioned pleas to outright accusations. "We cannot stand idly by while this primitive species continues to advance at such an alarming rate," bellowed Psyloth, his tentacles lashing the air for emphasis. "Their technology poses a direct threat to the stability of the Galactic Union. We must act now before it's too late." "Act how, exactly?" retorted Zora, her cybernetic implants gleaming in the dim light. Do you propose we launch a preemptive strike against these humans and subjugate them under our rule? That would be a grave mistake, one that could unravel centuries of carefully cultivated diplomacy. Therion raised a hand, silencing the growing clamor. Hyloth raises a valid concern, but Zara is also correct. We must weigh our options carefully, for any rash action could have catastrophic consequences. The counselor turned to face the assembled elders, his expression grave. The reports from our scout ships are clear. Humanity's technological progress is accelerating at an exponential rate. If left unchecked, their innovations could indeed disrupt the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. However, a direct confrontation could provoke a violent retaliation that we are ill prepared to handle. Zara nodded slowly, her gaze sweeping across the council. Therion speaks wisdom. We have faced upstart civilizations before, and the cost of subjugating them has always been high. Perhaps it is time we consider a different approach. Siloth's tentacles stilled, and he inclined his head slightly, inviting Zora to continue. Instead of aggressive action, we should seek to establish contact with these humans and guide their development. If we can integrate them into the Galactic Union, we can shape their technological progress to align with our own interests and values. A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber, and Therion raised a hand to silence the growing chorus of voices. A wise proposal, Zora. But how do we ensure that these humans will be receptive to our overtures? Their primitive nature and isolationist tendencies may make them resistant to our influence. Zora's lips curled into a subtle smile. That is where our covert operatives will prove invaluable, Therion. We must infiltrate their society, observe their behaviors and motivations, and determine the best approach to gain their trust and cooperation. Siloth's tentacles twitched in agitation. And what if they refuse to cooperate? What then? Therion's gaze hardened. Then we will be forced to consider more drastic measures. The security of the Galactic Union must be our paramount concern. The chamber fell silent, the weight of Therion's words hanging heavy in the air. Finally, Zara spoke, her voice calm and measured. I will personally oversee the deployment of our most skilled operatives to Earth. They will blend seamlessly into human society, gathering intelligence and laying the groundwork for potential negotiations. We must tread carefully, my peers, for the fate of the Galactic Union may very well rest on the outcome of this endeavor. Therion nodded, his expression solemn. So be it. Time is of the essence, and we cannot afford any missteps. Zara, you have my full authorization to proceed. Keep me informed of any developments, and be prepared to act decisively if necessary. As the council chamber erupted in hushed, anxious discussion, Therion gazed out at the holographic representation of the distant blue-green world. Humanity, he murmured, your destiny is now intertwined with our own. May the stars guide us in navigating this delicate path. The bustling streets of Los Angeles teemed with activity, the constant hum of hovercrafts, and the chatter of its diverse inhabitants creating a symphony of modern life. Amidst the dizzying array of towering skyscrapers and gleaming technological marvels, a small group of unassuming individuals blended seamlessly into the urban landscape, their true identities carefully concealed. These were the agents of the Galactic Union, handpicked by Zara to infiltrate human society and gather intelligence on the rapidly advancing technology that had so alarmed the Council. Operating under the guise of various professions, scientists, engineers, corporate executives, they moved through the city, their cybernetically enhanced senses cataloging every detail, every innovation that crossed their path. Leading the cover team was Erin, a seasoned operative with decades of experience navigating the complexities of alien cultures. As he strode through the crowded streets, his gaze swept over the gleaming towers of glass and steel, his mind processing the information with lightning-fast efficiency. The level of technological sophistication is staggering, he murmured into his comlink, his voice barely audible above the din of the city. Renewable energy sources, advanced robotics, and transportation systems that defy our own capabilities. If these humans continue on this trajectory, they may soon surpass even the most advanced civilizations in the Galactic Union. Zara's response crackled through the earpiece, her tone tinged with a hint of concern. Proceed with caution, Erin. We cannot afford any missteps that could jeopardize our mission. Observe, gather data, but do not make contact unless absolutely necessary. Erin's lips tightened into a thin line. Understood. But I cannot help but wonder if a more proactive approach may be warranted. These humans are clearly a force to be reckoned with. The Council has spoken, Erin, Zara replied, her voice brooking no argument. We must tread carefully, lest we provoke a reaction that could unravel the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. Report your findings, and we will determine the best course of action. Erin nodded, even though he knew Zara could not see the gesture. Very well. I'll continue my surveillance and keep you apprised of any significant developments. As Erin wove through the bustling crowds, his gaze locked onto a towering structure that dominated the skyline. The headquarters of Rodriguez Enterprises, one of the most innovative tech companies on the planet. Narrowing his eyes, he made a beeline for the building, his cybernetically enhanced senses already cataloging the security measures and analyzing the flow of personnel. Within the opulent lobby, Erin's attention was drawn to a young man striding purposefully through the crowd, his confident demeanor and the reverent whispers that followed in his wake suggesting a position of considerable influence. Activating the facial recognition software embedded in his cybernetic implants, Erin quickly identified the individual as Alex Rodriguez, the founder and CEO of the company. Zara, I've located a key figure of interest, Erin murmured into his comlink. Alex Rodriguez, the CEO of Rodriguez Enterprises. His company appears to be at the forefront of many of the technological innovations we've observed. Zara's response was immediate. Excellent work, Erin. Keep him under close surveillance. If he proves to be instrumental in humanity's technological progress, he may become a valuable asset in our negotiations with the humans. Erin's brow furrowed slightly. Negotiations. You make it sound as though we intend to bring them into the Galactic Union. That is precisely our goal, Erin, Zara replied, her voice tinged with a note of determination. We must explore every avenue to ensure the security of our domains. If that means integrating these humans into our civilization, then so be it. But we cannot act hastily. Proceed with caution and report your findings regularly. Understood. Erin's gaze followed the receding figure of Alex Rodriguez, his mind already formulating a plan to closely monitor the young CEO's activities. The fate of the Galactic Union may very well rest on the outcome of this mission. The holographic displays in the Galactic Union Council chamber flickered to life, projecting a series of images and schematics that had been painstakingly gathered by Erin and his team of covert operatives. Therian and the other elders leaned forward, their expressions a mix of fascination and trepidation as they studied the data. As you can see, the scope and scale of human technological innovation is truly staggering, Zara announced, her voice tinged with a note of both pride and concern. In just a few decades, they have achieved breakthroughs that have eluded even the most advanced civilizations within the Galactic Union. Silof's tentacles twitched with agitation as he scrutinized the images. Renewable energy sources capable of powering entire cities, intelligent robotic systems. And now, he paused, his gaze fixed on a particular schematic. Interstellar propulsion technology. Erin, who stood beside Zara, nodded gravely. Yes, the humans have made significant progress in developing a novel form of faster-than-light drive. Our analysis suggests that it may soon rival even our own interstellar capabilities. Therian's brow furrowed, his fingers steepled as he contemplated the implications. This is most concerning. If these humans possessed the means to travel freely between star systems, they could disrupt the delicate balance of power that we have so carefully maintained. Zara raised a hand, her cybernetic implants gleaming in the dim light. That is not all, Therian. Our operatives have also uncovered evidence of human experiments in the field of advanced weapons technology. Another series of images flashed across the displays, depicting sleek, angular spacecraft equipped with powerful energy weapons and advanced shielding systems. These fighter craft are capable of speeds and firepower that could pose a genuine threat to even our most heavily armored vessels. Zura continued, her voice grave. And that is but a glimpse of their military capabilities. We have also observed the development of directed energy weapons, antimatter-based propulsion, and even the early stages of quantum computing. The chamber fell silent, the weight of Zara's words hanging heavy in the air. Therian's expression was unreadable as he studied the schematics, his mind racing to process the implications. Finally, he spoke, his voice measured and calm. It would seem that our initial assessment of the human threat was understated. Their rate of technological progress is not merely alarming, but potentially catastrophic to the stability of the Galactic Union. Xyloth's tentacles lashed the air, his eyes narrowed with barely contained fury. We cannot allow this to continue. These humans must be brought under our control, or else they will become a direct challenge to our dominance. Zara raised a hand, silencing the murmurs of agreement that rippled through the chamber. Rash action will only serve to provoke a violent response. Tythloth. We must tread carefully, lest we risk unraveling the delicate web of diplomacy that has kept the galaxy at peace for centuries. Therian nodded, his gaze sweeping across the assembled elders. Zara is right. We cannot afford to underestimate the humans, nor can we afford to antagonize them without careful consideration of the consequences. The counselor's expression hardened, his eyes narrowing with determination. We must continue our covert surveillance, gather more intelligence, and explore all diplomatic avenues before considering any drastic measures. The security of the Galactic Union depends on our ability to navigate this situation with the utmost care and precision. Xyloth's tentacles twitched, but he inclined his head in grudging acceptance. Very well, Therian. But know this, if these humans prove to be an irreconcilable threat, I will not hesitate to advocate for their annihilation, regardless of the cost. Therian nodded solemnly. Duly noted, Xyloth. For now, we must focus on understanding the full scope of human technological capabilities and determine the best path forward. Zara, continue to oversee our operatives and keep me apprised of any new developments. As the council chamber erupted in hushed discussions, Therian gazed out at the holographic representation of the distant blue-green world, his expression grim. Humanity, he murmured, you have forced us to reckon with a future we never imagined. The fate of the galaxy may very well rest upon your actions. The transport ship glided silently through the void of space, its sleek, angular design a testament to the advanced engineering of the Galactic Union. On board, a small team of seasoned diplomats and their attendants prepared to embark on a mission that would have profound implications for the future of both humanity and the galactic community. Zara, the architect of this diplomatic endeavor, stood at the helm of the vessel, her gaze fixed on the distant blue-green orb that was their destination. Beside her, Erin, the covered operative who had spearheaded the surveillance mission on Earth, offered a grim assessment. The humans have made significant strides in their technological development, Zara. Their military capabilities in particular pose a genuine threat to the Galactic Union's supremacy. Zara nodded, her expression pensive. I am aware, Erin. That is precisely why we must tread carefully in our approach. The goal is not to subjugate these humans, but to bring them into the fold as valued members of our civilization. Erin's brow furrowed. And if they prove resistant to our overtures, Xyloth has made it clear that he will not hesitate to advocate for their annihilation. Xyloth's bellicose tendencies are concerning, Zara admitted, her gaze hardening. But Therian understands the importance of diplomacy in this delicate situation. We must make every effort to appeal to the human sense of reason and demonstrate the benefits of integration into the Galactic Union. The transport ship began its descent through the upper atmosphere of Earth, its thrusters guiding it towards a highly secure landing site. Zara turned to the diplomatic team, her expression grave. "Remember, we are here as emissaries of peace and cooperation. Do not provoke the humans, no matter how tempting it may be to assert our superiority. We must earn their trust and respect if we are to have any hope of guiding their technological progress in a way that aligns with the interests of the Galactic Union." The team nodded in acknowledgement, their faces set with determination as the ship touched down on the surface. Zara took a deep breath, steeling herself for the delicate negotiations to come. As the ramp lowered, Zara and her entourage were greeted by a contingent of armed human security forces, their weapons trained on the alien visitors. A tall, imposing figure stepped forward, his expression stern. "I am General Nathaniel Hawkins, Commander of the United Nations Security Council. You have arrived without warning, and your presence is a direct violation of our sovereignty. State your purpose, or be prepared to face the consequences." Zara raised her hands in a gesture of goodwill, her cybernetic implants glinting in the sunlight. "General Hawkins, I am Zora, emissary of the Galactic Union. We come in peace, seeking to establish diplomatic relations with the leaders of your world." Hawkins' brow furrowed, his gaze narrowing with suspicion. "The Galactic Union, you say? I'm not familiar with that organization. Why should we trust you?" Zara took a step forward, her voice calm and measured. "General, the Galactic Union represents an alliance of advanced civilizations that have maintained peace and stability in the galaxy for centuries. We have observed the remarkable technological progress of your people, and we believe that by working together, we can bring about a new era of prosperity and cooperation." Hawkins' expression remained skeptical, but he gestured for his men to lower their weapons. "Very well, Zara. I will arrange a meeting with the United Nations Security Council. But know this, any attempts to interfere with our sovereign affairs will be met with the full force of our military might." Zara inclined her head, a subtle smile playing on her lips. "Understood, General. We have no intention of interfering with your internal affairs. Our goal is simply to explore the possibility of integrating your world into the Galactic Union for the benefit of all." As the human security forces escorted the alien diplomats towards the awaiting transport, Zara couldn't help but feel a sense of cautious optimism. The negotiations would undoubtedly be delicate, but she was determined to succeed where others had failed. The fate of the Galactic Union, and perhaps even the galaxy itself, hung in the balance. The tension in the United Nations Security Council chamber was palpable as the Galactic Union diplomats, led by Zara, faced off against the human representatives. General Hawkins, his expression etched with suspicion, stood at the head of the table, his gaze sweeping across the alien visitors. "You claim to come in peace, Zora, but your mere presence here is a violation of our sovereignty. Why should we trust the word of an alien race we know nothing about?" Zora met Hawkins' stern gaze with a calm, measured response. "General, the Galactic Union has maintained peace and prosperity across the galaxy for centuries. We are not here to subjugate your people, but to offer the opportunity for integration and cooperation." A murmur of discontent rippled through the human representatives, and Hawkins raised a hand to quiet them. "Integration, cooperation. Forgive us if we find those terms somewhat troubling. Our world has only recently begun to explore the stars, and now you arrive, claiming dominion over our affairs." Zara raised a placating hand. "General, we have no desire to assert dominion over your world. Rather, we wish to share our knowledge and technology, to help guide your development in a way that benefits both our civilizations." A tall, steely-eyed woman in the back of the chamber, whom Zara recognized as the Secretary General of the United Nations, spoke up, her voice laced with skepticism. "And what, exactly, do you expect in return for this guidance?" Zara took a deep breath, well aware that her next words would be crucial. "In exchange for our assistance, we would ask that you curtail the development of certain technologies that could pose a threat to the stability of the Galactic Union. weapons, for example, or any advancements that could disrupt the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of outraged voices, with Hawkins raising his hand to restore order. Absolutely not. We will not surrender our technological sovereignty to any outside entity, no matter the promises you make. Zara held up a hand, her cybernetic implants glinting in the harsh lighting. General, please understand that we are not demanding that you cease all technological progress. We simply ask that you work with us to ensure that your innovations do not destabilize the existing order. Hawkins' expression hardened. The existing order you speak of is one that we know nothing about. Our people have toiled for generations to reach this point, and we will not have it all stripped away by some self-proclaimed Galactic Union. The Secretary General nodded in agreement, her gaze narrowing. General Hawkins is right. We have no intention of compromising our autonomy or submitting to the demands of an alien civilization, no matter how advanced they may be. Zara's brow furrowed, her own frustration beginning to show. You do not understand the gravity of the situation. The technological capabilities you have developed pose a genuine threat to the stability of the galaxy. If left unchecked, they could lead to widespread conflict and devastation. Hawkins scoffed, his expression contemptuous. That is not our concern, Zara. Our focus is on the well-being and prosperity of our own people. If your Galactic Union sees us as a threat, then that is your problem, not ours. The Secretary General nodded in agreement, her gaze unwavering. We will not be bullied or coerced, no matter the consequences. Our path forward will be determined by humanity, not by any alien overlord. Zara's lips tightened into a thin line as she realized that the negotiations had reached an impasse. Glancing at Erin, who stood silently behind her, she knew that the fate of the Galactic Union was now in jeopardy. Then you leave us no choice, Zara said, her voice tinged with regret. If you refuse to cooperate, we may be forced to take more drastic measures to ensure the security of our domains. Hawkins' eyes narrowed, and he leaned forward, his expression unyielding. Is that a threat, Zara? Because if it is, you should know that we are more than prepared to defend our world and our people, no matter the cost. The chamber fell silent, the air thick with tension as the human and alien representatives faced off, both sides unwilling to back down. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, and the path forward had never been more uncertain. The tension in the United Nations Security Council chamber was palpable as Zara, the emissary of the Galactic Union, faced off against the human representatives. After days of heated negotiations, the two sides had reached an impasse, with neither willing to back down from their respective positions. Zara knew that time was running out. Therion and the Galactic Union Council were growing increasingly impatient, and Psylocke's calls for decisive action were becoming harder to ignore. She had to find a way to break the stalemate, even if it meant making concessions that would test the limits of her diplomatic skills. General Hawkins, Secretary General, Zara began, her voice calm and measured. I understand your reluctance to submit to the demands of the Galactic Union. Your technological advancements are a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the human race, and we have no desire to stifle that progress. Hawkins' expression remained skeptical, his arms crossed over his broad chest. Then what do you propose, Zara? Because we've made it clear that we will not compromise our sovereignty or our technological development for the sake of your Galactic Union. Zara took a deep breath, knowing that her next words could irrevocably alter the course of human history. We are willing to offer you a compromise, one that would allow for your continued technological progress, while also ensuring the security and stability of the galaxy. The human representatives exchanged wary glances, their expressions guarded. The Secretary General leaned forward, her eyes narrowed. And what exactly does this compromise entail? Zara clasped her hands behind her back, her cybernetic implants gleaming in the harsh lighting. We propose that the Galactic Union provide your world with access to our most advanced technologies, including renewable energy sources, space travel capabilities, and medical breakthroughs. In exchange, you would agree to place certain restrictions on the development of weaponry and other technologies that could pose a direct threat to the existing order. Hawkins' brow furrowed, his gaze searching Zora's face for any sign of deception. And if we refuse this offer? Zora's expression hardened, her voice tinged with regret. Then I'm afraid the Galactic Union will have no choice but to impose strict limitations on your technological development, and potentially even isolate your world from the rest of the galaxy. The human representatives erupted in a chorus of outrage, their voices echoing through the chamber. Hawkins raised a hand, silencing the din. You would dare to threaten us with isolation and subjugation. After all we've accomplished. Zora met his gaze steadily, her own resolve unwavering. It is not a threat, General, but a warning. The security of the Galactic Union is our primary concern, and we cannot allow your world to destabilize the delicate balance that we have maintained for centuries. The Secretary General leaned back in her chair, her expression contemplative. And what assurances do we have that you will uphold your end of this compromise? How can we trust that you won't simply renege on your promises and assert your dominance over us? Zara's lips curled into a faint smile. We are willing to establish a permanent diplomatic presence on your world, as well as provide ongoing oversight and guidance for your technological development. This will ensure transparency and accountability on both sides. Hawkins' gaze narrowed, his jaw set in a hard line. And if we refuse this offer, you claim that you will isolate us from the rest of the galaxy. Is that correct? Zora inclined her head solemnly. I'm afraid so, General. The Galactic Union cannot afford to ignore the threat posed by your world's rapid technological progress. We must take appropriate measures to safeguard our domains. The human representatives fell silent, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily upon them. Hawkins exchanged a long, measured look with the Secretary General, the two leaders engaging in a silent, tense deliberation. Finally, Hawkins turned to Zora, his expression resigned. Very well, Zora. We will accept your offer of integration and technological cooperation. But know this, if the Galactic Union betrays our trust in any way, we will not hesitate to sever all ties and defend our sovereignty by any means necessary. Zara inclined her head, a faint glimmer of triumph in her eyes. Understood, General. The Galactic Union looks forward to a fruitful and mutually beneficial partnership with your world. As the human representatives departed the chamber, Zora allowed herself a small sigh of relief. The negotiations had been arduous, but she had succeeded in securing a compromise that would hopefully ensure the stability of the Galactic Union, while also allowing for the continued progress of humanity. Yet, even as she contemplated the future, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger struggle, one that would test the mettle of both civilizations in ways they could scarcely imagine. The city of New York bustled with activity, its gleaming skyscrapers and advanced transportation systems a testament to the rapid technological progress that had transformed the once familiar landscape. But amidst the dazzling displays of human ingenuity, the presence of the Galactic Union's diplomatic corps served as a constant reminder of the delicate balance that now governed the relationship between Earth and the larger galactic community. Alex Rodriguez, the young CEO of the renowned tech company that bore his name, stood at the window of his penthouse office, gazing out at the futuristic skyline. The past few years had been a whirlwind of change, both for his company and for the world at large, as the terms of the Galactic Union's compromise were implemented. On the one hand, the influx of advanced alien technology had accelerated human development in ways that seemed almost miraculous. Renewable energy sources, medical breakthroughs, and interstellar travel capabilities had transformed the global landscape, ushering in an era of unprecedented prosperity and cooperation. But the restrictions placed on certain areas of technological research, particularly in the field of weapons development, had been a bitter pill for many to swallow. The Galactic Union's presence on Earth, with its team of supervisors and oversight committees, was seen by some as a form of benevolent occupation, a necessary evil that had to be endured for the sake of maintaining galactic stability. Alex sighed, running a hand through his neatly trimmed hair. As one of the key figures tasked with bridging the divide between human and alien interests, he had navigated a delicate tightrope, constantly balancing the demands of the Galactic Union with the needs and aspirations of his own people. Mr. Rodriguez. Alex turned to see a young woman, one of the Galactic Union's diplomatic attaches, standing in the doorway. Yes, what is it? There's been a development I think you'll want to be aware of, she said, her expression grave. Our intelligence channels have detected increased activity among certain nationalist factions within your government. They appear to be organizing protests and rallies against the Galactic Union's presence, and there are concerns that more radical actions may be in the works. Alex felt a knot of tension form in the pit of his stomach. The backlash against the Galactic Union's influence had been simmering for years, with pockets of resistance sprouting up across the globe. I see. Have you shared this information with the appropriate authorities? The diplomat nodded. Yes, we've been in close communication with your government's security agencies. But given the sensitive nature of this situation, we thought it prudent to inform you as well. After all, your company's technologies and resources have been instrumental in the Galactic Union's efforts to maintain stability on your world. Alex's brow furrowed. You mean to say that I'm a target? It's a possibility we cannot ignore, the diplomat replied, her tone grave. The nationalists see you as a symbol of the Galactic Union's influence, and they may seek to undermine your efforts to foster cooperation between our civilizations. Alex clenched his jaw, his mind racing with possible scenarios. Then I'll need to take additional security measures to protect my company and my family, and I'll be sure to relay this information to the appropriate government officials. The diplomat inclined her head. That would be most appreciated, Mr. Rodriguez. The Galactic Union is committed to maintaining the peace and prosperity that our partnership has brought to your world, but we cannot do it alone. As the diplomat departed, Alex turned his gaze back to the cityscape, his expression troubled. The fragile balance they had achieved was now under threat, and he knew that the future of both humanity and the Galactic Union hung in the balance. In the shadows of the city, a group of disgruntled activists huddled in a dimly lit warehouse, their eyes gleaming with a mixture of fear and determination. The time has come, their leader, a fiery-eyed woman named Samantha, declared. We can no longer stand idly by while these alien overlords dictate the fate of our world. Tonight, we strike back. The others murmured their assent, their hands tightening around the makeshift weapons they had procured. The die had been cast, and the stage was set for a confrontation that would test the resolve of both human and alien alike. As the city slumbered, unaware of the gathering storm, the future of two civilizations hung in the balance, their paths inextricably linked in a delicate dance of cooperation and conflict. The fate of the galaxy, it seemed, would be decided in the streets of this humble blue-green world.